Take my mask off. How's it going, everybody? A little bright, but do my eyes deceive me? Do I see a bunch of vaccinated kings and queens in the audience? Oh my God, so good to see you. All right, we need to strategize, people. I think, the anti-vaxxers, they really want to be a lot more like horses, so I think we need to do this. We need to make a much bigger deal about how much bigger our penises have gotten since getting the vaccine. Ladies, you can join in this too, it's foolproof. If anybody asks you, if anybody contradicts you, just say, oh, you got Moderna? I'm so sorry. Me? Johnson & Johnson, I have 2 penises now. Anybody like music in here?
No!
I'm a music lover. I specifically love electronic music. Like, some people like the beats and like the rhythms. I really like the voices that sound like the death gurgle of a Tamagotchi. Like, it's probably because I grew up in the 90s. Just there's a lot going on in that decade. I mean, the AOL dial-up tone just screeching the world into life like a rooster. I mean, the voicemail lady who just, whenever you don't have the voicemail set up, she just says, goodbye. Like, that was with my mom. They're so maternal. Daft Punk, anyone love Daft Punk? R.I.P., they just fucking exploded. Like, did you see that video? There's a snuff film. I don't know how movies work, but I love electronic music. I also sing. I was in the choir at my temple. Not too long ago, the Jews in the audience, any Jews in the audience? Yeah, clap if you're Jewish. It's safe here, it's okay. Yom Kippur, if you haven't heard of it, I mean, there wasn't a Rugrats special about it, so I don't blame you. But if you haven't heard, Yom Kippur is a day of atonement, comes at the beginning of the Jewish New Year, and basically all you do is you reflect, you repent, you don't eat, and you pray. It's basically the closest thing that Jews get to being Catholic. And when you're not eating, you have a lot to think about. You just sit and you start pondering the really important questions like, do all dogs go to heaven? Can you get genital herpes from not having sex? Does it count as breaking the fast if you eat your own cum? Asking for a friend. And there's a lot of complaining to do. I mean, it's a very unique experience to be a fasting Jew on Yom Kippur, because you're basically like married couples and recovering alcoholics. No one wants to be around you because they can't relate. Like, they don't understand the suffering. I was hanging out with my boyfriend, gay Jew, triple threat, and I was just like, oh my God, I'm so hungry. This is awful. I can't take it. He was like, oh, have you thought of eating? And I'm like, that's the only thing I've been thinking about for the past 18 hours. What so insensitive? But I mean, Jews, we have a lot to complain about. I mean, we're very good at it. But the main things, I mean, it's often too humid. The line is too long of a delicatessen. We have too much voice and power in government. It's a lot. We have a lot that we have to deal with. And I think that the thing that we have to come back to at the end of the day is, at the end of Yom Kippur, you do break the fast. You go right back to being a fat sack of shit. You're just where you started, a remorseless American. Speaking of remorseless Americans, anyone like fast food? Yeah. Lukewarm. We are a keto bunch in this house. I, in particular, will go to bat for Taco Bell. And Taco Bell, I mean, some people associate it with like late nights and bad decisions. I associate it with mid-afternoons and trying my best. And I always roll into the Taco Bell with like NPR blazing, because I believe every meal should be fair and balanced. And by fair and balanced, I mean mostly consisting of bread, meat, and cheese. Like, those are the main food groups that I need. And nothing says fresh air with terry roast like a cheesy gordita crunch. But I started eating Taco Bell more or less ironically. Like, you do things like you're not really sincere about it, and then it becomes your whole personality. Like, my roommate always says, good vibes only. Which, if you haven't heard, is basically the live, laugh, love of bros. And I think it started out as a joke, but it just quickly became everything about him. So now that's him. Me, I bought 2 video games on a Friday afternoon, and then I rolled up to the Taco Bell and said, I need a quesarito and a Baja Blast stat. And, 5 years later, I am 50 pounds heavier and I'm a diehard fan. So it works. Irony works, guys. Speaking of reasons that I'm attractive, I love cartoons. I'm a big fan of cartoons, anime, any kind of animation, I'm into it. Although, as the great Hayao Miyazaki once said, anime is a mistake. Deep cut, diehards. But I think the thing that we need to level with each other about is I don't think that making cartoons, everything cartoons into live action is always the right move. Like it's almost never the right move. Let's be real producers in the audience. I know there's a lot of you. But like take for example, we have the Powerpuff Girls CW show that they're trying to do. Yeah, I think that's gonna go real well. Probably because they think that, you know, the show with like a talking monkey with an enlarged brain in Mojo Jojo, like that really needs gritty realism to really sell its message. And I think that they kind of miss that the appeal of the Powerpuff Girls is that it's like 90s girl power and like wacky hijinks. They're like, no. Let's make them all be millennials who hate each other. That'll really get the kids to watch. I think the animation does a lot to kind of make things more palatable that otherwise would not work in live action. I mean, in the Powerpuff Girls, they are described as bug-eyed freaks. People are frightened of them. And Mojo Jojo, large brain, glass jar, frequently shards of glass will just be like exploded into his brain. That's not Miss Bellum. Well, she's got a nice set of tits, so like let's keep that in. But everything else, I don't think it's gonna translate well. All right, that's my time, everybody. Thank you so much.